Welcome to Dark Knight Films Reviews and another special ranking night. Tonight, I will be counting down my picks for the top 10 Abbott Costello films. Now keep in mind that this list will not include any of the Abbott Costello Meet the Universal Monsters, such as Abbott Costello Meet Frankenstein, Abbott Costello Meet the Mummy, Abbott Costello Meet the Invisible Man, and such, because they have already been on a ranking video or will be on a future ranking video with those Universal Monsters featured. Alright, so let's move on to the list. Coming in at number 10, we have One Night in the Tropics, released in 1940, directed by A. Edward Sutherland. Now this one doesn't really star Abbott and Costello. They are featured in it, and featured in it not very much. The real leads of this film are Robert Cummings, Ellen Jones, and Nancy Kelly. And they have this little love triangle romance in it. And it's a musical as well, and they're singing a lot in it. And that's a common theme with Abbott and Costello films on this list, unfortunately, the singing part. But it stands out and made my list at the 10 spot because of two things. Number one, this was the first film where they did a certain famous skit.
Now, let's see, we have who's on first, what's on second, I don't know who's on third. That's what I want to find out.
That's right. This was the first film where Abbott and Costello did the who's on first routine during it. And the number two thing that made this make the list was their boss in this film as Roscoe is William Frawley. And I really have always loved William Frawley in any movie roles that he played, and I loved him in I Love Lucy as Fred. So, yeah, he's in this, and he's really good with Abbott and Costello. So, that's the reason this one makes my list. Coming in at number 9, we have Africa Screams, released in 1949, directed by Charles Barton. Now this one, Abbott and Costello are the leads, thankfully. And it doesn't have any musical stuff in it. But this one is more of a public domain Abbott and Costello film that a lot of people probably know more about than a lot of these other ones on this list, just because it's a film that fell into public domain and everybody was releasing this thing back in the day on VHS and DVD and stuff. So, it is cool. It's got Hilary Brooke, who played in the Abbott and Costello TV series. And it's also makes my list because it has two Third Stooges. It actually has Shemp Howard and Joe Besser in it. And they are really good in this. And Joe Besser was another one that, just like Hilary Brooke, who appeared in the Abbott and Costello TV shows. So, this is one of their most fun films, but it's not the best. All right, so let's move on to number 8. And number 8 is Ride 'em Cowboy, released in 1942, directed by Arthur Lubin. Now, this one is one of those that has a lot of musical stuff in it. It stars Dick Foran and Anne Gwynn. And I've always liked Anne Gwynn. I liked her in several films that she did, some of them for Universal even, under the monster films. But she's really good in this. It does have those musical numbers, things that I didn't like about One Night in the Tropics. But it's cool because you get to see Abbott and Costello in this Wild West setting, and they make the most of it with their comical exploits in the Wild West. So that's the reason this one makes my list. Coming in at number 7, we have Buck Privates, released in 1941, directed by, again, Arthur Lubin. Now this one is another one. It's got a lot of that lame music numbers and dance numbers in it. I guess at one point the studio with Universal didn't want to have, they didn't think they could make a film just off of just the comic genius of the Abbott Costello duo, so they felt they needed to add filler and add these stupid musical numbers. And, you know, the Andrews sisters appeared in numerous films in these, and this is one of them. But, I mean, it is what it is. But this one, it stands out because it has Nat Pendleton as the sergeant who Abbott and Costello are making his life a living hell. And you also have Shemp Howard as one of the other recruits. So this was the second film that I've mentioned on this list that has Shemp in it. So that's the reason he was one of my favorite Stooges, because he was prolific. He could play in anything. Coming in at number 6, we have Abbott and Costello in Hollywood, released in 1945, directed by S. Sylvan Simon. And this one features Rags Ragland, Frances Rafferty, and Jean Porter. And both of those girls are very attractive, and Rags Ragland's pretty funny. So him working alongside Abbott and Costello is pretty cool. And this one's really neat because they do have a lot of really good routines in this, and comical mischief that they do in this. So this one's a really fun film. It does have some musical aspects to it, but not quite as atrocious as some of the earlier ones on this list. So that's why it makes my list at number 6. Coming in at number 5, we have Whodunit, released in 1942, directed by Earl C. Kenton. Now this one, the duo are doing a lot of stuff that's scaring the hell out of them, and that's where, Lou Costello really stands out in some of his stuff that he does, and when he gets scared. And I like this one because they're trying to act like they're investigators, and they pull it off, and people actually believe that they're private investigators and everything in here. And it has 2 really good comical people in this, and that is Mary Wicks, she's hilarious, and William Bendix. Even though in this he's a little bit more serious than he is in other films that he's in, he can be very funny. But in this one he's playing this detective character, and he's a little bit more serious. And it also features the excellent Patrick Knowles in it. And so it is a very fun mystery style film that Abbott and Costello did. Coming in at number 4, we have Lost in a Harem, released in 1944, directed by Charles Reisner. Now, this one features the lovely and talented singer Marilyn Maxwell, and there are singing numbers in it. With her, as beautiful and as talented as she is, I don't mind it so much. It also has a great villain in this one with Douglas Dumbrell. And it has a pretty cool hero alongside Marilyn Maxwell with John Conte. Now in this one you get some really cool little moments where the villain, Douglas Dumbrell's character, ends up hypnotizing Marilyn Maxwell and, luring her into marrying him instead of marrying the prince that she's really in love with, which is played by John Conte. And by now, if you watch this channel, you know me. I got a soft spot for that kind of thing, so this one really worked for me. Coming in at number 3, we have Hold That Ghost, released in 1941, directed again by Arthur Lubin. Now, this one features another funny lady, and she works so well off of Abbott and Costello in this, and her name is Joan Davis. And she just works so good with Lou Costello, the comic timing between the two of them in this. This is another one that has scary moments in it and frightening moments in it, and that's where Lou Costello really does shine. And on top of that, you have some of the Universal monster movies actors back in the day. Actors such as Evelyn Ankers, what a lovely actress she was. And she's great in this. And you have Richard Carlson in here, who I absolutely loved as an actor. He was great. And then you also have Shemp Howard as a soda jerk in one sequence. And that is the third appearance from Shemp Howard on this list. Coming in at number 2, we have In Society, released in 1944, directed by Gene Yarborough and Earl C. Kenton. Now this one, it stands out to me because it feels like a Abbott and Costello feature film that adapted one of the Three Stooges plumbing episodes, whether it be Vagabond Loafers or A Plumbing We Will Go. It doesn't matter. This has that same vibe to it. And seeing Abbott and Costello going through those kind of comedic things, it's just fun to watch. They're just as entertaining as the Stooges were in those films that they did. Only they took it and made it a feature film. And, you know, like I said, with some of them other ones, this one is just strictly a comedy. It doesn't have any weird musical numbers or any of that in it. So it's just a fun Abbott and Costello comedy film, and it is a genius film. I love this film. And coming in at number 1, this is my favorite Abbott and Costello film of all time. It is The Noose Hangs High, released in 1948, directed again by Charles Barton. Now, this one is so interesting. I absolutely love the fact that they have these gangsters after them for something they didn't mean to do. It was a slip up because of Lou making a mistake and putting an envelope down and it getting swapped out with another one, unfortunately. And this misadventure leads to all sorts of fun stuff with these gangsters. And it's just so much fun to watch them interacting with these guys. And you have so many good, talented actors in here working alongside. You have the lovely Kathy Downs as the leading lady in this. And she inadvertently comes across the whole thing that they were supposed to have sent out, and she accidentally gets it, which is all this money, and she goes and spends it, unfortunately, and it causes a lot of problems for Abbott and Costello in the film. Mike Mazurki is excellent playing one of the gangsters in here. I've always liked him as an actor. He's just so fun, and he has this one routine in here that is excellent.
And get this, no noise while I'm here.
You're here? Who said you were here?
Of course I'm here.
You wouldn't want to bet on it.
Want to bet me?
And finally, you have Leon Errol. Now, he has so much fun working with Abbott and Costello in this film. I mean, he's got really good comic timing as well, and he does a really good job working off of them in some sequences. And even he does some little comedy gold scenes. So yeah, number 1 is The Noose Hangs High. That is my favorite of all time. What do you guys think? Do you agree with this list? Do you disagree? Let me know in those comments down below. And as usual, if you enjoyed this video, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to click that bell icon so you can be notified about future videos just like this one. And while you're by the subscribe button, click that join button and become a Dark Knight fan. As a Dark Knight Fan Plus member, you have access to an area on the channel right now where you can request a movie, TV series, or ranking video of your choosing. And when that video goes live, it will go up for all Plus members to view before it goes up on the channel officially. So, then I will put up another post and you can do it again. So it's not just a one-time thing. So if you want to get interactive, now's your chance. And if you missed last week's ranking video, check out the link above. And if you missed any of our other ranking videos, check out this playlist and get caught up.